The Old Guard, a new 2020 Netflix movie directed by Gina Prince Bythewood and starring Charlize Theron in the lead role. The movie is based on a popular comic book of the same name. Basically, what this movie is about a group of mercenaries who are immortal. They take on these odd missions around the globe, and one day they are secretly exposed by a group of people who want to use their immortality for their own gain. Many of you might remember Charlize Theron from a slew of movies that have been released recently, such as Atomic Blonde, The Fast and the Furious 7, and also Mad Max Fury Road, in which she was amazing, by the way. Charlize Theron is known for her strong female action driven roles, and in this movie, it is no different. She takes on the action scenes with ease and carries the entire movie on her shoulders. She does an amazing job with what she's given and knocks it out of the park. A newcomer, Kiki Lane, who plays a supporting lead role in this movie, also stands along high and mighty with Charlize Theron in the action scenes. As you may have guessed, this movie has lots of action and a good story. I'll get to the story part in a bit. Coming to the action now. Action, how do I put it? A bit substandard, I would say. Nothing really stood out to me. The action scenes in particular, although big in scale, were not well executed. The fight scenes in particular looked a bit off to me. This movie tries to follow a similar formula to the John Wick series, where you can see a lot of quarters combat using guns and fistfights. Where John Wick excels in his execution and a very stylistic effect to his fights, this movie suffers from shaky cams. When the fights are going down, you'll notice that the execution is way off. The camera is very shaky, and also the scenes where the actions, like such as the punches and the gunshots, are fired, you'll notice that the angles are pretty off. I don't know whether this is a directorial choice or maybe the way it is choreographed is not adequate. But there are also some scenes that are quite well executed. Some action scenes with Charlize Theron and Kiki Lane, for example, where they do a fist fight on the plane. That looks amazing. Also, a few fight scenes towards the end of the movie is well executed and well planned. You should definitely give the director props for that. Overall, the action in this movie is very inconsistent. A few good scenes here and there, and a lot of bad ones scattered throughout. The movie also suffers a bit of pacing. The movie starts off fast and strong in the first act, and towards the middle of the movie, you'll start to feel a bit bored because of how slow the scenes go, and then picks up towards the end. The story, however, is pretty interesting if you ask me. It fleshes out the characters very well, gives an interesting backstory to almost all the side characters in this movie, and also fleshes out the lore behind this movie. Not surprising considering this movie is actually based on a popular comic book series. All the side characters in this movie are given screen time, and also most of their backstories have been explored not to that extent but given hints as to what it might be. Have to give the director props for fleshing out even the side characters and making their side stories interesting. The soundtrack in this movie is just slightly above average. There are scenes in this movie when a song suddenly starts playing with full lyrics, which makes the scene a bit odd. I don't know whether the director intended this to happen. In certain scenes, they use an odd choice of music which does take away from the seriousness of the scene. But overall, the movie is actually a good watch. All things considered, the action scenes can be forgiven. The movie ends in a cliffhanger, and it's a damn good cliffhanger if you ask me. It's probably the most exciting part of the movie. It does open up more probabilities for the viewer, even though the viewer is left with more questions than answers. It also opens up the possibility of a part 2, where they might do a deep dive and explore the lore behind the old guard, like how they did with the John Wick movies. Overall, this movie is quite an interesting movie. If you look past a few flawed action sequences and a pacing issue towards the second act of this movie can be forgiven. All things considered, the movie does pick up its pace towards the end and keeps the viewer engaged with the storyline. Overall, I would rate this movie a 6 out of 10. If they do make a second part, let's hope that the second part is much better than the first. I would say this movie can be watched once with your family or alone. That's it for this review. If you liked this video, please leave a like. And if you like to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to receive new notifications whenever a new video is available. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.